In the small, sleepy town of Cedar Hill, nights were typically uneventful. This sense of tranquility made it the perfect place for me to move after a stressful job in the city. I rented a quaint little house on the edge of town, surrounded by tall pine trees and a winding gravel road. It felt like a safe haven. My first few weeks there were blissfully peaceful. I enjoyed the quiet, the crisp air, and the charming simplicity of small-town life. But then, strange things began to happen. It started with phone calls. They always came at midnight. At first, I dismissed them as wrong numbers, but the persistence and timing were unsettling. Every night, without fail, my phone would ring exactly at midnight. When I answered, there was nothing but silence on the other end. One night, curiosity got the better of me. I decided to stay up and see if I could trace the call. Midnight approached, and like clockwork, the phone rang. I answered quickly, but again, silence. Determined, I stayed on the line, hoping to hear something, anything. After what felt like an eternity, I heard a faint whisper, "Get out!" Chills ran down my spine. I hung up immediately, my hands trembling. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was a prank or a glitch. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. The next day, I mentioned the calls to my neighbor, Mrs. Holloway, an elderly woman who had lived in Cedar Hill her entire life. Her reaction was unexpected. She went pale and grabbed my hand. "Did you answer?" she asked, her voice quivering. I nodded, confused. "Yes, and last night I heard someone whispering, 'Get out!'" Mrs. Holloway took a deep breath and told me about the house's dark history. Many years ago, a family had lived there. The father, driven mad by something no one could understand, had murdered his wife and children before taking his own life. Since then, the house had been known as cursed, and the midnight calls were believed to be his restless spirit, warning others to leave. I wanted to dismiss her story as a local legend, but that night, as midnight approached, I found myself filled with dread. When the phone rang, I let it go to voicemail. The calls continued for several more nights, each one leaving a blank message that filled me with unease. Unable to endure the fear any longer, I decided to leave Cedar Hill. I packed up and moved out the following week. As I drove away, I glanced back at the house one last time. The phone was still ringing. I've never told anyone about the call since then. But every night at midnight, I can't help but wonder who, or what, was on the other end of the line. And I hope I never find out.